Hello everyone, welcome to this BYOP demo. I'm Amanda, I am a Ditto Educator. I'm super excited to share with you today all about the Bring Your Own Pattern feature, how it works, and some of the best practices you can use to set up your files, as well as some examples of patterns, PDF patterns. So just some notes, this will be recorded. So if you have to leave early or you want to reference it later, it will be available to you on Facebook and YouTube. I am going to answer any questions in the end, so if you put questions in the event previously, I'll answer what I can on this live, or they'll be answered in the chat. And then any other questions you also add, we should have time to get to during this demo. So let's get started. I'm going to switch over here to my screen. All right, so as we go along today, the things I'm going to show you is I'm going to talk about how you turn that feature on. It's not actually automatic in your account. So you'll see, I'll show you how that works and how you turn it on. Then you'll be able to see it in the app. I'm also going to talk about the best practices for your files and some of the things you can do to make your files a little more Ditto friendly. And then, like I said, I'll project some examples so you can kind of see things that you may run into or things that you may want to change in your files when projecting. And then, of course, I will get to those questions. So first, I want to talk about the benefits of Bring Your Own Patterns. First off, it is a fantastic setup if you are someone who doesn't have a permanent setup or you're a little overwhelmed by a projector setup. Ditto is easy out of the box projection and calibration. So there's no attaching anything to your wall or ceiling. It is attached to a tension mounted beam, which you can see behind me. So it doesn't have to be permanent. You can do this at your kitchen table or in a sewing space. It's portable. Also, calibration is as easy as taking a photo. So you're going to get that pattern projected exactly as you need it to be projected just by calibrating with a photo. We also know that a lot of you have a collection of patterns that you absolutely love and you want to use with Ditto. So that's the other benefit of this feature. You can now use that feature with Ditto. And if you, or say you have a pattern that, we don't quite have the style yet in our pattern library, now you're going to be able to broaden the amount of patterns you're able to use with Ditto. And that being said, we add more patterns every single month to our Ditto library. So if you don't quite see a style that you love just yet or something you're specifically looking for, the last Friday of every month, we do our Ditto drop so you can see new patterns each month. This feature is also fantastic for crafters, quilters, and bag makers. So now you can bring in those patterns for appliques, you can bring them in for bags, small crafts. So it's really going to expand the flexibility of what you can do with Ditto and what kind of patterns you can project. And biggest one is, we know this was your #1 request and we listened, and we're excited that we can just get this feature to you in beta format before the end of the year. That being said, it is in beta and preview format, which means we're still learning how you use it and how it could be used in the future. It is a feature just for our subscribers, so you can subscribe for $9.99 a month or $99.99 for the year. If you buy a Ditto now or you recently bought one, there's currently a 3-month trial in that box, so you can try this feature right away as soon as you get your Ditto just by using that code in the box. And if you sign up for the annual subscription with that 3-month trial, it's basically like getting 15 months for the price of 10. So super great deal, super great for you. All right, so now I want to show you how to turn this feature on. So let me, hold on. Scrolling through here, let's go back. All right. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to turn this feature on. It's quite simple, and it's something, like I said, you need to do. It's not going to do it automatically since we're testing it. So you're going to go to My Account. You're going to scroll down to Preview Feature there in your menu. So it's the bottom tab in your features there, or in your list. It'll take you to this page that says Preview Features. You can also learn more about it. You can check out our terms and conditions, but you want to hit Edit. When you first go into this, the first thing you're going to see is your feature status is going to be off. Mine is on since I already turned it on, but to turn it on or off, you're just going to click Edit, and you can toggle this on and off. So be sure that it's on and click Save, and you are all good to go. Once this feature is on, when you go to your pattern library here, you'll see there is a new tab up here that says My Uploads. When you click that, you can see now this is where you're going to upload your patterns, and I already have a few in here. So before I show you how, or like the simplicity of uploading a pattern, I want to talk about how to set up your file. So the things you need to set up your file, you want to make sure it is under 200 inches by 200 inches and it's under 500 megabytes. You want to use a single paged AO or projector file or a tiled PDF that you put together. So some questions about what's the difference between those files. So an AO file is actually a common size outside of the US. It actually measures, I believe it's 33 inches by 46.81 inches, and it's a common printing paper size outside the US. If you have it printed in the US, it'll generally come out at like 36 by 48 inches. And it's just a file that the designer has provided for you that you can print in large format at your local copy shop. So that's why it's sometimes also called a copy shop file. A projector file is one that was never made to be printed. It can be any size. It's not limited by paper. A majority of them will be under 200 by 200, just because that is plenty big. And these files are specifically designed to be used with a projector, meaning they're going to have a good line thickness. The layers may be broken down by size, which I'll talk more about briefly. They may have a grid, they may have margins. So if you're familiar to projector sewing, these are things that all these files need when you're projecting. For Ditto, you don't need margins on your files, which is why an AO file or a tiled PDF work just fine. But if those projector files have a margin, you'll be totally fine using them with Ditto. Most projector files are going to be pretty friendly right off the bat, so you may not have to do any editing to them. You might be able to just project them as is. If you have a tiled multi-page PDF, meaning it's usually letter size, and you need to print that out and physically tape it together, which we all remember how long that takes. That is something that you're going to have to adjust on your computer before uploading it to your pattern library. There are a lot of third-party programs out there that you can download, free and paid, that you can use to basically digitally tape those pieces together before projecting. So definitely check some of those out. I know our Ditto thread community has been talking a lot about what they use, what they like, so I highly recommend joining the thread and seeing what people are doing with them. They've also been posting tutorials, so there's a lot of great information on the thread. And if you're not a member yet, it's just a really fantastic community. Everyone is sharing so much fun stuff that they're making and so many words of encouragement, so I highly recommend for the teaching aspect and just to get inspired by everyone's creativity. So other things, I briefly talked about unnested layers. And so some pattern designers will break down the sizes for you in layers, which means in some of those third-party softwares, you're able to turn on or off those layers, meaning you only project the sizes that you want. This is very helpful if you only want to cut out a medium. you don't need to see all those other layers or all those other sizes on your fabric. You just want to see the one. Another option that we suggest is a little bit thicker lines. So again, if you're using a projector file, likely those lines will already be thick enough and you won't have to do anything. But if you're using some of those tiled multi-page PDFs or an AO, you might need to thicken those lines. We suggest 5-point. Most projector files start at 4-point, but they're going to work just fine as well. Your library can hold 5 patterns at a time. We've gotten the comment that that's not enough, and I just want to say, right now we're just seeing how this is working. It is in beta in beta mode, so we're just kind of seeing how the community uses this feature and what we need to kind of look forward to in the future. So 5 patterns right now, and you're going to see just how quickly in a few minutes it is for you to remove patterns and put patterns back in. So you can have a library of hundreds of patterns on your computer, and you really only need those 3 or 5 that you're working on currently in your account to project. You can quickly change them out. So we'll go over that. And like I said, it requires an active monthly or yearly subscription. So now I want to get to uploading to the library. So let me exit out of my slideshow here. All right. So this is back to that page that we have, the upload PDFs. I'm going to click on upload new PDF. It's as simple as that. I'm going to choose my file, which I already have a few files saved on my computer. I'm going to choose this projector file here, click open, and give it a name. All right, and then I'm going to click upload PDF. So you see here, it's already here and it says in progress. So it's that quick. And now, exciting, let's go see what all these look like. So I'm going to take a moment and turn off my lights and get to the workspace. So give me just one moment. All right. Okay, so here is the app that you're used to. That says uploaded patterns. So this is going to show up once you add that that feature to your account first on your computer or your tablet, whatever you're using, just on the website. So uploaded patterns. And you can see here the second one in, that's that lounge shorts that I had just added. So it's already in my account, ready to go. It was that quick. Before I show you that, I want to just show you some of these and some of the best practices I talked about. So I'm going to click on this medium here. All right. And I'm going to send this to my projector. So the reason I'm showing you this one first, this is one where I used one of those third-party softwares to edit my PDF, and I've seen some people have been using Adobe, Inkscape, Stitcher, so there's more out there, but there's quite a few options out there. I can't comment on the functionality as Ditto because we don't own any of those. But definitely that's why I suggest check out the thread and see what others are using. So here is this pattern here. This is a pattern. It's a projector pattern that I had removed all the other sizes using a third-party software and thickened the lines a little bit. And you can see this is super easy to see and project on my table here. And if I wanted to cut it, I'm going to just bring this over here. And I can still move my fabric just like how we're used to with our Ditto and cut out this piece. So that's the first one I wanted to show you. Set up from the start. So it's one size. I already know that this is calibrated. I can slide this here. Because I calibrated before, super easy, just by taking a photo. This pattern is ready to go. The next one I want to show you is, let's exit out here. All right, so let me bring up that projector pattern that I just uploaded so you can see that one. We'll give it a second. All right. Well, we're going to give that a second while it's reconnecting. All right, everyone. I'm just restarting my app. I think I have lots of patterns going on, so we're going to try again. All right. And maybe while I'm trying to get this to connect, I will answer some questions that have come up. I'm just going to restart my app here and look at some questions. We did get a question, do I have to upload patterns from my computer or can I upload from a mobile device or tablet? So yes, you can use a tablet or mobile device. You just want to go to the Ditto Patterns website to turn on that feature and to upload your patterns. You can do that on a phone. You just need to use the website itself, which you can get to from the app. All right, everyone, I think I got this working. All right, well, I'm going to do that quick turn off and turn back on again. And while it's loading, I'm going to answer some other questions. So another question I got is, will there ever be a time that PDFs, including our own, will be customizable? I know that's wishful thinking. So PDF patterns are a static image the workspace is just used to show that image. So we're not able to, other than using those third-party editing programs, things like adjusting the size we can't do because that is the pattern designer has their own set of measurements. If you love that made to measure feature, that's why we love the Ditto branded patterns, because then you can adjust your measurements in there. And we're always adding more patterns, so there might be a style that comes up that you want to use instead. If you want to do things like moving around pieces, thickening lines, removing layers, tiling a multi-page PDF, you can do that with some of those third-party programs, which again, check out the thread to see what others are using, what tutorials they're doing, check them out. And I'm just taking a moment to connect to this again. If not, I'll try another pattern. Here we go. All right, so we're back and I can show you this. Okay, so I wanted to show you this pattern that we uploaded only because this is, as you can see, pretty common for a projector pattern. And I wanted to show you what it looks like on your workspace. So this is one here that you can see. It's a lot more busy. This is how that pattern came originally that I had edited, and I have all my sizes projected. And there's a lot going on, but you could still cut this. So if you're not quite ready to fiddle around with some of those third-party programs, or likely it's going to look like, and you should be able to play with this pretty well, and you could even trace out the specific size you want directly on your fabric. It's similar to when you were using paper patterns, you had to do some preparation of your paper patterns before cutting your fabric. Same way with projecting. We're just streamlining it a little bit, but there's still some prep that we need to do. All right. So next one I want to show you one here. I'm just working through. So this is the same pattern that I've been showing you over and over again, or a variation of it. And the reason I want to show you this is because, again, we've been asked before how you can, if you really love that made to measure feature and you want those adjustments in your third-party patterns, how do you go about it? And because you can't use the made to measure feature on those third-party patterns, you can blend sizes. So here is a pattern here that I projected, again, that same pair of shorts, I'm just using it as an example, where I projected only the large and extra to just remove those sizes so that I have my large and my extra large, and now I can blend between these sizes and cut how I'd like between the two sizes. So this is a really great way to kind of get a more custom fit when you can't have that made to measure feature that we all, as Ditto users, have loved. All right. Another one I want to show you, kind of a mistake here. So this is one that is just, say you try to upload one of those traditional PDFs that is a multi-page that you need to tape together. This is how it's going to project. So that's no good. You don't want to use those. I just wanted to show this to you as an example. That's why you're going to use one of those programs to kind of put it together, or you're going to see if the pattern designer carries an AO file or a projector file, which at this point, a lot of them do. They know that it's digital world, so projector files are, a lot of companies now have them. So definitely check, definitely ask, look for those layered files, because if it's layered, you'll be able to do more of those things like removing sizes, blending. It's just going to make your life a little easier. So just look when you're buying these patterns, if they're layered, if they're AO, projector, etc. So another one I want to show you, and then I'm going to show you just how easy it is to delete and add patterns, and then we'll answer some questions. So this is a beach bag pattern that I have edited in a program to be, I moved pieces around so that every piece I can cut individually and they're not going to be affected by the splice line. So I can send this again. We'll give it a second, and you see that just moved, and now I can work on these. I'm going to show you a little more about using these splicing things. So let me go back to my screen view. Lots of things to show you about this feature and how to use it. So with splicing, just like how when you make pants or a skirt, you may need to splice the specific pattern piece. When you're projecting a PDF, you need to splice the whole PDF. It's more like it's been flattened and it's like kind of one pattern piece, but you get to see the lines on your workspace. So I wanted to show you this example of one where you can kind of see where those splicing marks came in. And if you can see the bottom center, there's a little red rectangle. So that's kind of like where your workspace is going to show up throughout your PDF as you're moving. So this reference layout is really great to kind of check out as you're using a PDF to know where you are. Think of it as like your mini map of your PDF. So in here, I'm just going to use my splicing stickers to move around my PDF file and get to the piece that I want to get to. Okay, so now I want to show you, I want to move back to my screen here, and give me a second, I am signed out. All right, so what I want to show you is how quick it is to remove and add a pattern. So I'm going to remove this single page PDF that didn't work out for us. Click yes, delete. All right. And now that it's out of my account, I can click upload, choose a file, and now I'm going to choose another file. And I'm going to show you, since we got some questions about AO files, I wanted to show you an AO file. So here I'm going to put and click upload. Great, and now you can see this is in progress. So let's go back to the workspace. And I'm going to take a minute just to sync this to confirm that it went through. Upload patterns, let's check this. And here it is. Yep, so it's right there. So you just saw how quick it was for me to remove a pattern and add a different one for my computer. It took less than a minute. So I'm going to hit this workspace. And this is the last one I want to show you before we get into your questions, because I know a lot of questions have come through and I want to answer them all. All right, let's try reconnecting again. All right, one moment. All right, let's try this again. If not, I will answer more questions while I go through the process. Here we go. Okay. Thanks, everyone. All right, so what I want to show you on this one is it's a traditional AO file. It is one page, so if you have an AO file that is multiple pages, you will have to use one of those third-party programs to tape it together, just like you would a letter-sized multi-page. But this one is smaller. It's only one AO, so I can kind of show you. And the reason I want to show you this one is two reasons. One, it's colorful and fun. I like the colors, but I wanted to show you that even with all these colors, you can see them with your Ditto. So don't be afraid of those colorful patterns, colorful patterns. You can take a pattern like this, take it into one of those third-party programs and change the colors around. But this kind of shows you like some of the colors work better than others, but you can still see them, and the black is what shows up the best. So this is here, and another reason I wanted to show you this file, to fit in this space. I don't want you to feel like you have to edit every PDF that comes along. A lot of those projector patterns are going to be perfectly ready to just upload as is. I'm just showing you some examples of some things you can do. So I think somebody asked the question, you know, your splice lines show up in certain areas, and sometimes it's going to be on a piece, but sometimes it's not going to be. If you can see over here, it's patterns that you can use as a reference. So for me, you know, I'm going to mark this dart either way. Let's say I'm doing this pink one here. I'm doing this quick, so I'm going to kind of be messy. But I could also mark like this little line here as kind of a reference. I'm going to, if I wanted to use my sticker, but for now, I'm just going to put marks. So take note of other areas on your, if your splicing marks aren't quite in the place you want them to be, take note. Luckily this one has one here, but take note of other places on your pattern that you can use as reference. So I marked this, I marked some other points, and I'm going to move this down. So you can see here, I moved that down. I'm going to hit send and go back to my Ditto. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't cut. So let's, I'm jumping ahead of myself. So let's just jump right back here. Said I was going to cut the pink. So here's this pink right here. And you can see, even though this one is layered, I'm easily finding the pieces I need here. Okay, so now we can splice this. So I'm going to send it down. And it just moves in increments, so it's going to be pretty easy to move this around. So now that I have multiple points on my fabric to slide up. So I'm going to just slide this until I'm matching up. There's one of those splicing dots, and there's my shorten and lengthen line there. And I also use this arrow as a mark, so that's there. So pretty easy to splice however your patterns are lined up through the PDF. And again, if you want to use one of those third-party programs to move your pieces around, definitely, here we go. Sorry about that. I don't know what I was showing, how I moved this up. So this was down here and I moved this up. I think my screen just went black for a second. So you can see here I was able to use the short and lengthen line and these arrows and a splicing point to get this one particular piece, even though there was only one splicing point on this piece. So take note of what you're using on your pattern as a reference. So you can see that you don't necessarily need to use any kind of program as long as you have a projector file. I'm going to turn on my lights so I can start answering questions. All right, I'm back. So yeah, you don't necessarily need to use an editing software. You can use just a projection file as is. But if you want to get into layering, if you want to even move some pieces around, if you want to thicken lines, you can try some of those. There's some really talented people on the thread, and they've shared a lot of tutorials and a lot of ideas, so definitely join and check out what everyone else is doing. So now I'm going to get into some questions, and I know we got a lot. So I answered the one about, let me just refresh here and see what other questions we've gotten. And some questions I know have been answered by the team in the chat. So let me go in here. And we've talked about as long as you use the website. Customizing those patterns, we talked about that the sizes are specific to a designer and you can use third-party editing, I've been saying that a lot today, third-party editing software to do things like move pieces, thicken lines, change layers, things like that. We got one, do you use AO files only? And if so, does each AO page need to be uploaded? How do we upload just the size or layer we want? So no, you don't need, if it is a multi-AO or a multi-letter PDF, you will have to use a third-party program to digitally tape those together. And to adjust sizes or the layers, you will also have to use a third-party program just to check off. And it's very simple. I would definitely check out YouTube and the thread to see, what people have done with some of these programs, and you'll find that just checking off some of those sizes, checking on the one, deleting and uploading a pattern is super quick. So if you upload one and it's not quite right and you need to readjust on your computer and upload again, it's very easy and quick to do so. So those are some questions we got ahead of time. And then I'm going to start going through some of the questions we got during this chat. I got a question, can you explain how to darken the projector pattern lines in Adobe? And I would like to know how to save just the layer size to upload. Using for Adobe specifically, Ditto we don't own those programs, so I can't talk about their functionality and like what works best for you and your pattern. But those software will help you to thicken those lines, and how to save a layer. Again, you just check on or off some of those sizes and you save or you generate a PDF, whatever that program is going to have you do. And I would say if you make something a lot, say you're making bridesmaids dresses, or you have a children's clothing company and you use a specific pattern, or a 4 and a 6, save them on your computer. You can have hundreds of patterns on your computer, and then just upload the 5 that you're working on that day. I think there was a question. Oh, I saw this one earlier about, I have a question about how you can set up our PDF files to get them to fit in the workspace. They come in as a landscape. So you saw that I adjusted that beach bag pattern. I didn't get to show you the process, but there are software that you can use to move things around, and a lot of these are free. I find something I've seen people do that actually helps with that landscape issue, or not issue, but if a pattern comes in as a landscape and you prefer it to be not a landscape, is in but in a bunch of those third-party software programs, you can actually add a shape or a dot. So what I've noticed is Ditto will remove anything that is blank in your space and just project the actual pattern. So you'll notice sometimes with the project actually get removed for you. So if you want to keep those margins intact, or you want to make a pattern longer than it is wide so that it projects a specific way, you could add little dots or shapes, like a little circle in a corner, and that way the PDF will kind of hold on to that as a thing. I hope that answered that. That's how I've seen it done, and I can't demo it, but I can tell you that that's a way that you can kind of play with your pattern. A lot of people have the same questions. They're learning how to edit a pattern. Another question, there was a question about splicing and what to do if your fabric isn't covering a splice sticker. I hope I answered that just with showing you the demo of that colorful racerback tank and how you can use other elements of your pattern. If you are using a third-party program, you could actually add some of your own reference points. I've seen people mention that on the thread. So you could add in your pattern to then move it around. Another question, if a pattern is multi-pages, we need to upload each page individually. No, so you want to put them together first. So that's why I've been mentioning a third-party program. And you'll kind of digitally tape them together. So a lot of programs, if they mention tiling or the ability to combine PDFs, you can look at that, and those types of programs will help you take that more traditional PDF that you would have digitally before sending it to Ditto. And a note I will make about those, we've talked a lot about layers and line thickness. When you're working with some of those more traditional patterns and you're tiling them together or digitally taping them together, you might lose the ability to play around with the layers. So you're just gonna have to see, and that's why I suggest checking out the websites of the patterns that or the pattern designers that you're buying from, and see what they're offering with their files and what you're actually downloading. You really want those layered files, words like that. We got a question, so a pattern that we uploaded can't be rotated on the workspace. No, so like you saw on my workspace, I was kind of more or less moving my little box around my pattern as is. If you want to rotate a piece, you're going to use a third-party program to rotate that piece first. So what I like to say is you want to get that file as cleaned up and as projectable as possible. So you want that file to be what you want to see on your table before even trying to make that pattern what you want. And it's similar to when you were using paper patterns and you had to cut out the specific size you want. This is similar in a more digital way, where you want to just prepare your pattern. So we want to choose the size we want to use. We want to thicken the lines if needed, but sometimes it's not needed. And you can use some software to rotate the piece to get it the way you want. I've even seen people who kind of will use a program to figure out how it is on their fabric in their program, and then be able to project it just like that so they can slide their fabric around. So you can have a lot of fun with this. And you just want to get that file exactly how you want it to be on your table before uploading it to your account. One question I got, Liz, so if you have an AO file, you don't need to edit them. No, not every file needs to be edited. You saw that racerback tank I just projected, that's just how the file comes. It had all the colors, all the layers. That projector file, the second one I showed that had all the sizes, I just uploaded that directly. I didn't play with any of those. I wanted to show you some of them that I did play with so you got a sense of some of your options and kind of the fun things you can do to streamline your process. But no, you don't need to edit, and you don't have to use another program if you don't want to. Just look for patterns that are AO or projector friendly. And another question from Liz, most of the AO files I have are 2 to 3 pages. To tape them together and tile those 3. A lot of those programs aren't just for a letter size piece of paper. You can use a different size piece of paper. So you could tile them kind of together and then save that file and project it kind of like that. Or you could upload each page individually, so you would have 3 files in your account, and then you would just go through each one. But yes, you could use them separately. Or any other questions? I don't see any other questions. I'm going to give it a second, but if not, I just want to say thank you all for joining me today. And biggest thing is, if you have more questions about how some of these third-party pattern or programs work, you know, Ditto doesn't own them, so we can't tell you how they work, but our Ditto threaders are doing some unbelievably cool things. We have such a talented group in this community. On the thread, people also share things they're making, so you get to be inspired. So join the thread, share your work on Facebook. I'm just checking if there's any other questions. I think we're good. So I just want to say thank you all for joining me today. I hope this has helped you a little bit. And keep giving us your feedback with what you're working on. If you have, you notice something isn't working quite right with a feature or isn't working quite right with a pattern, contact customer service, which is the bottom community. So if you have anything you want to share with us, or concern or excitement, please share it to our customer service link. Either send us an email or give us a call, bottom left of our website, and that's the best way for us to get things addressed, especially now since this bring your own pattern feature is in beta. We're still learning how it works and how you use it. So we love your feedback, and I just want to say thank you everyone for watching today. This is being recorded, so you'll be able to watch it again as needed.